Welcome to day 23 of our Lent 103 series. Today's topic is murmuring. What is murmuring? Let us look at that. Murmuring is to grumble with discontent about something or someone. It is a sin, it is a sign of dissatisfaction, and it is a great sin that is committed against God. Murmuring is a rebellious action that is committed against God. Let us look at the examples in the Bible which speaks about murmuring. In Numbers chapter 14, verse 26 to 27, it reads, "And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, How long shall I bear with this evil congregation which murmur against me? I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against me." And then it goes to read in verse 29, "Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me." For me, when I read this, it made me just realize that, you don't want to anger God. You really don't, because you can see how in those verses alone, and there's so many verses in the Bible that speaks about murmuring, but in those two verses alone, you can already tell that God is upset. God is upset. And for us as Christians, we want to please God. We want God to look down on us and bless us. We want to make it into the eternal life. And when I read these verses, it kind of shook me, because I was like, I don't want to anger God. I don't want to be on his bad side. I want to remain on that good side. And it just shows that how disappointed and upset he was in the children of Israel, because they began to complain, they began to get angry, they started questioning God, they started questioning their faith. They were thinking, God brought me here and nothing is happening, nothing is smooth sailing, we're just wandering around in the wilderness. Like, come on. It shows that God saw their hearts. He didn't even just look at their minds, he saw their hearts and saw that they were so doubtful against him and that they were criticizing him. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 10, it reads, "Neither murmur, yea, as some of them also murmured and were destroyed of the destroyer." I don't want to be destroyed. I'm sorry. And this further goes to show that when you grumble against God, when you start, looking at God and thinking, what's going on? Like, you don't want to be part of those that get destroyed. I'm sorry. As for me, I don't want to be destroyed. I don't want to anger him. I don't want to upset him, because you already thinking about what you're going to say before you say it. Like, for example, why has God not done this for me? Me already thinking that without saying it, I know is a sin. I know that I'm already grumbling against God. I'm not satisfied. I'm not being grateful for what I have already. And let's look at the common causes of murmuring. The first thing is resentment at personal chastisement, for example, which is what kind of the children of Israel were going through in the wilderness. And then the second thing is lack of perspective, not being able to be open-minded, not being, focused. And the third is incomplete information, not even having all the kind of information already. We're so quick to say, God, but why? You haven't done this for me. The fourth is reactions to persecutions and fears, which is also what happened with the children of Israel. Because they were fearful, because they're thinking, what's going to happen. They're fearful. That's how they've started to commit this sin of murmuring. And the fifth thing is failure to accept essential doctrines and hard sayings. So what can we do to overcome murmuring? The first thing we need to do is show appreciation to God with absolutely everything that we do, even just breathing the breath of air. You know, air is very vital. For you to breathe that air is a joyous thing. Like, unfortunately, not everybody is gracious enough to wake up the next following day. And for us, that we are here right now, as I am even just sitting on this chair, I'm being grateful because I'm just realizing, wow, like I'm alive. Unfortunately, some people, they're not, but that's not within our control. And it's not to say that we are being malicious, but it's for us to just realize, like, wow, God has spared my life to just see another day. I'm grateful. The second thing is to learn to see the good in everything. Even through all our trials and tribulations, we should be able to, just realize there's a good thing in everything that we go through in life. Even though it might not look like that at the moment, but we know that when we come out of it from the other side, we know that, we can see the good in what God has done for us, just even thus far, even so far up to this day, being alive. That's a good thing that we can see. The third thing is no gossiping or backbiting. We need to stop that thing, please. We need to stop gossiping. I don't understand why we are still gossiping and, telling somebody else's thing, or like, passing people's secrets along. I feel like it's something that it just does not need to happen. It's got nothing to do with you. Even if it might be a cause of concern for you to see somebody, is a cause of concern, it doesn't mean that you need to get involved and tell the next person. It's got nothing to do with us. Instead of us doing that, we need to take them in our prayers and pray for them on their behalf. Another thing is that we need to think about how our actions affect us. How does murmuring affect the next person? And fifthly, we need to learn to accept the changes that we come across in life. And that's what can lead to murmuring as well. That's what can lead to grumbling. Because I know sometimes when you have a constant thing going on in your life, it can be a good thing. And then when something comes and disrupts it, it changes our way of thinking or our way of doing things. But we need to learn to accept that change is a good thing. Maybe there's a reason why you were not able to get that thing, or you're not able to do that thing. There's a reason why to that. And also, I would say the last thing, and I would say is probably very important, is learn to not associate yourself, or don't associate yourself with negative people. If you know that you're going to commit this sin because you're associating yourself with somebody who is doing this thing constantly, like they are backbiting, gossiping, or grumbling against God, the best thing for you and for your sanity and just for yourself as a whole is to remove yourself from them. Because at the end of the day, you don't know that you're committing the sin of grumbling because you're taking on what somebody else is doing, and it's not a helpful thing in our lives. So I hope we do learn to overcome murmuring throughout the things that I've just mentioned now. Thank you and remain blessed. Thank you for tuning into day 23 of our Lent 103 series. Please be sure to follow us on all our social media platforms at Morning Star London, where we'll be uploading daily content to assist you throughout this Lenten journey. Thank you and God bless.